caught my fiancé cheating, so I moved out, handed her mom the proof, and her mom took me to bed for revenge. It has obviously been several years since the incident, and I have literally never told anyone in my life about this. Tonight, I have some good wine to drink, and I figure I'll let my fingers do the talking. I thought I had met the perfect woman. We met during the last year of college, at a party, and hit it off instantly. She was a beautiful blonde with sun-kissed skin, and she could have easily been a model. Think of a Kate Upton-type figure. She was kind, compassionate, a good listener, and had an active social life with many friends. She even liked my friends, which made everything even better. Over the 3 years we knew each other, our friend groups merged, and several of our friends began dating each other. Those were some of the best times of my life. I was pursuing my post-grad in finance, and she had a degree in contractual law. We were successful in our own rights, but I wasn't a slouch in the looks department either. I'm 5 feet 11, 190 pounds, and I like going to the gym. I wasn't a super athlete, but I was built. However, I was and still am very shy, and didn't have many prior relationships before meeting her. The first evening we met, we were smitten. We talked all night, which led to daily texting and phone calls, followed by weekly dates. After a year, when I started my new job, she moved in with me. I loved her family, and they loved me, well, mostly her mother. Her father was more standoffish, but that was his nature. It was a whirlwind romance. After 2.5 blissful years of overseas vacations, hiking trips, and luxurious getaways, I proposed to her. She said yes, and I was over the moon. She started planning the wedding, and we talked about our future together, buying a house, having children, and managing family trusts. Everything seemed perfect, and I thought we were in the extended honeymoon phase. One evening, after we both got home to our apartment, she was a little distant. I noticed it immediately because we were always very affectionate with each other. At first, this only happened about once a week, but after a month, which was shortly after the proposal, it became more frequent. I wouldn't have thought much of it if I hadn't been listening to a lot of Reddit stories on YouTube. So, I waited and observed. These bouts of ignoring me would last just a couple of hours, after which she'd go back to normal. But after 6 months, and with the wedding a year away, this behavior became almost nightly. The sex was still great, and my relationship with her parents was still strong. But over Thanksgiving at her parents' home in Louisville, Kentucky, she was cold toward me in front of her mother. Her mother, being a very observant woman, pulled her aside to talk. I could hear them arguing. After some heated but muffled words, they returned to the family, acting like nothing had happened. I figured I'd ask her about it later, and when I did, she wasn't willing to talk. She asked me to wait until we got home to discuss it, and I agreed because I loved her deeply and believed we could work through anything. Her mother was an older version of her, same stunning looks, just a few gray hairs in her long, thick blonde hair. Back home, I pressed her about what had happened. After a week, she finally confessed that a guy at her work was trying to get to know her better. She wanted to be forthcoming, so she showed me her phone. As I looked through it, I noticed that all the texts that would have corresponded with the times she had been distant were deleted. There was nothing inappropriate in the texts that remained, but I decided to go to her phone settings and turn on her location sharing, since we were on the same phone plan. I thought this would reassure me that she wasn't doing anything wrong. The second week after Thanksgiving, she had a company Christmas party. I had planned on going but came down with food poisoning and had to back out. She had a girlfriend pick her up from our apartment, as they planned on drinking a lot and had a designated driver for the evening. We had planned on going out all night, so I told her to have a blast and that I'd see her in the morning. As I was puking my guts out, barely able to get off the toilet for more than 30 minutes, I grabbed my phone and checked her location. First, it was at a restaurant, then the venue of the company party, then a bar. None of this alarmed me, until I saw her phone stop at a downtown hotel. At this point, I was miserable in more ways than 3. Projectile vomiting from my butt, my mouth, and now my soul. I finally fell asleep from sheer exhaustion at 2 a.m. At 7 a.m., I woke up and saw that she was still at the hotel. At noon, she finally came home, and I was starting to feel better. She loved me up, and I asked her about her night without mentioning anything about tracking her location. She talked about the restaurant, the party, the bar, but then said she went to her friend's girlfriend's house to crash for the evening. First lie. For the next 3 months, she started working later and later, 3 to 4 days a week. As I started asking her about it, she became more and more defensive. One evening, I talked to her mom when my fiancé didn't come home until late. I asked her mom about the Thanksgiving conversation, and she admitted to me that she thought her daughter might be stepping out of our relationship. based on her body language. She also said her daughter was becoming more distant in their weekly texting conversations. With all this speculation going on in my mind, I kept it to myself. 2 weeks later, I got a new project at work that required me to fly to the Midwest Monday through Friday for the next 5 weeks. Starting in 2 weeks. It came with a salary increase, and as I broke the news to my fiancée, she was delighted for me. I didn't think she was excited for the same reasons I was. So, I went online and ordered 4 motion-activated spy cameras for our apartment. I put one in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in our bedroom, and one looking down the hallway. They were very small and connected to the internet via a hidden network, so they couldn't be detected on our Wi-Fi. I secured the cameras with a password and waited for my first week away. She had girlfriends over the first 2 nights and didn't work late once. All the other times when I'm home, she's working late, but as soon as I'm out of town, she's home right on time. The 3rd night, a guy came over. I was enraged. I sat in my hotel room screaming at the monitor, calling her every name in the book. Then they went all the way, first on the couch, then in our bed. She bent 4 ways for him that I didn't even know were possible. The worst part, I was watching them get it on when I called to check on her. She heard her phone ringing, held up her hand to him to stop what they were doing, and answered the call. I asked why she was breathing heavily, and she said she was at the gym working out. As soon as the call was over, she went right back to it. When I got home Friday evening, I ignored her and went straight to bed. Early Saturday, I got up and went cycling. I was so upset that I didn't even realize I had biked over 50 miles from our apartment. The furthest I had biked before was 30 miles, but that day I went 105 miles. When I got back, absolutely exhausted, I showered, and then she and I went out that evening, had fun with friends, and drank a lot. Is it breakup sex when the person you're going to break up with is oblivious? I was bursting inside. Heartbreak, anger, rage, feelings of betrayal, all swirling around my heart and mind. She, who used to be so attentive, was oblivious to all of it. It hurt so much because I loved her so much. He goes on. I finally confided in one of our mutual friends, and he told me that they all knew about it for months. I was finally told they all felt sorry for me, but no one ever said a damn thing to me, which is why they stopped inviting us out with them. I hadn't noticed it before, but I could look back and see that, about 3 months prior, they gradually invited us, or me, less and less. So, I figured I would try to win her back the next weekend. The next weekend, I planned an entire weekend of spoiling her in every way, wined and dined, pampered with massages and rubs, and talked to her about future plans, about how much I loved her. I knew I was starting to break through when, after her 4th glass of wine, she started to cry. I could tell the guilt was coming up to the surface. I asked her what was wrong, but she choked up every time she tried to speak. I then told her that if she did something in her past or was having some kind of conflict in her mind, she needed to speak with me about it. I was more than willing to talk with her about it, and if forgiveness was needed, I was more than willing to forgive her and move on. The only words that came out of her mouth were how much she loved me. It actually hurt to hear that from her, as I now had 4 separate videos of her and the other guy in our apartment getting it on. Over the next 8 weeks of traveling to the Midwest, I recorded her for 41 hours having sex with her co-worker. She never worked late once while I was gone. Each weekend, I tried to be extra attentive, and each week, she got more and more distant. After watching this for 8 weeks, I was done, so I devised a 12-step getaway plan. 1. Gather evidence. 2. Get her out of the way. In order to execute my plan, I scheduled a 2-week exclusive getaway trip for us at an all-inclusive resort in Barbados. She was ecstatic. Then, a week before the trip, I claimed I had to back out and told her to take a friend. I knew it was over when she showed no disappointment that I couldn't go. She scheduled her co-worker to go with her. 3. Terminate our apartment lease. It would expire 3 days into her trip, and I was the sole signature on the lease. 4. Find a job in another town. The company I had been assisting in the Midwest had offered me a job with a slight increase in salary. 5. Find a new place to live. I got an apartment in the above-mentioned location. 6. Take her to the airport and go back home to pack all her things the same day. 7. Get a new phone, number, email, and cancel all social media. 8. Separate our finances completely. Withdraw all her money from our joint accounts and then close them. 9. Put all her money in an envelope and pack it with her things. 10. Have movers pack all my things and ship them out west. Take all her things to her mother's house 600 miles away. All my fiancé's belongings fit in the bed of my F-250 crew cab. 11. Give her mother the evidence. 12. Start my new life. I didn't want to do anything illegal, so I made sure nothing of hers was missing. It was so hard to pack all her stuff neatly away. I never cried so hard in my life. I've read so many times about significant others saying they'll never do it again when caught, but they don't stop. My hope was that she would eventually confess, we could forgive each other and move on. She never did. Twice, she came really close, but her secret was too hard for her to reveal. It was Tuesday morning when I left our apartment north of DC for the last time. It took me 10 hours to get to her mom's house. What happened when I got there, I was not prepared for. I arrived at her mom's house around 8 in the evening. I figured she'd be surprised to see me since I was coming down unannounced. They lived in a gated community, so I had to buzz her house from the front gate. She was waiting for me outside when I drove up. I could tell she had been crying when I walked up to her. I asked her what was wrong, and she hugged me, bawling, telling me she thought her husband was cheating on her with a much younger, skinnier, and prettier woman. Dumbfounded, I just held her for what was probably 10 minutes. She soaked my right shoulder with tears and snot. When she finally composed herself, I asked if we could go in and talk. We went inside, and I asked her where her husband was. She said he was fishing with his buddies at a remote cabin an hour away. Then she added, he hates fishing. She gave me all the signs she had picked up on, indicating it had been going on for about a year. After doing a little more research, we found a credit card hold charge for a 5-star hotel that was only 20 minutes away. A later call confirmed her husband was, in fact, there for a 4-night stay with his mistress. 2 peas in a pod, I thought. I said to her, your husband is cheating on you, and your daughter is cheating on me. That's why I came here, to drop off her stuff and move on to my new location. I showed her the evidence I had, screen captures I had made, all neatly organized in a binder. After looking at the first 3 or 4 pages, she looked at me dumbfounded. We both hugged and cried for about 30 minutes. After that, she stopped crying, looked at me, and said, well, tonight, there's nothing we can do about it, except for you and me to knock out these 3 bottles of Moscato and F in every room of the house. She grabbed 2 wine glasses and a bottle of Moscato and walked out to the private pool deck, saying, are you coming out here? Or are you going to get effing revenge? I won't go into much detail because I don't want to get too explicit. But that night, and for the next 3 days, we effed non-stop. I explored every part of her beautiful body, and I must have come on her at least 25 times in that period. After those days were over, we passionately said goodbye, and I drove to my new destination. She kept me informed about everything that happened after. The day the ex-fiancé got back was epic. I had canceled my phone service that morning, so when her plane landed and she called for a ride, the phone indicated it was disconnected. She apparently had her lover take her home. When she arrived and knocked on the door, a strange couple, the new tenants, answered, and she freaked out. I can't tell you how many times she tried to call me, but the number was no longer valid. She ended up staying with her girlfriend for a while since her lover was already married. When she called her mom in a panic, her mom told her that I had come down, dropped off all her things, and mentioned that her money was also with her mom, 600 miles away. What her mom didn't tell her, though, was that we had effed more in 3 days than her daughter and I had in the last 6 months. Her mom did tell me that she knew her daughter had been cheating on me. I explained that I had found a new job, a place to stay, and a new career far away from her and all the friends we had shared. Her mom also told her that she was separating from her husband due to his infidelity. My ex cried for days and even took a week off from work. But, as expected, she found comfort in the arms of her married lover. Her mom never let her know where I had gone, and I completely cut out that part of my life. The only link I had to that old life was her mom, who kept our secret to this day. My ex-fiancé, ghosted. Story 2. I, 18 female, am the youngest of 4 siblings. I have 3 older brothers, Michael, 28 male, John, 27 male, and Chris, 25 male. Our mother passed away when I was 8. And since then, my father, 53 male, and my brothers have been quite protective of me. I had father-daughter date nights with my dad and movie nights with my brothers, among other things. I think that was their way of making sure I didn't feel lonely. Last year, my father got married to Melissa, 45 female. She, with her daughter Ashley, 18 female, moved in with us. I always got the sense that Ashley didn't like me. She would talk to my dad and my brothers, but she never talked to me. Whenever I tried to talk to her, she would answer curtly and then walk away. I never understood why, or if I did something to her, but after a few weeks of trying to get along with her without success, I gave up. We were civil to each other and that was enough. My brothers were also on the fence about her. She keeps insisting to be invited to our movie nights, but she would always demand to see a movie she liked even if none of us liked it. And she kept trying to cuddle with my brothers, which they find uncomfortable and weird because they don't really know her. Chris actually told her to knock it off because he didn't like that she was so touchy with him. Recently I had my 18th birthday. It was fun and low-key and I got wonderful gifts. The next day Ashley came to me and told me that it was unfair that my brother's gifts to me were better than their gifts to her for her birthday last June. For context, my brothers each gave her a $200 gift card to different stores so she can buy what she liked. Because they didn't really know her, they gave her gifts to be civil. My brothers got me a personalized perfume, a signed copy of an entire book series that I've been obsessed about lately, and a personalized planner with messages and quotes on each page. I will admit that they put more thoughts into my gifts, but I think it's fair since they don't really know her. But then Ashley started crying, saying that I always got everything and she got nothing, and she then demanded I stop hanging out with them and said that if I didn't hang out with my brothers so much, then they would pay more attention to her. She also wanted me to tell them to treat her like they treated me because she was also their sister now. I told her that I won't force my brothers to do something they didn't like. She insisted that I call my brothers right that moment to tell them that I would hang out less with them and that they should get Ashley better gifts. I refused. Apparently she told her friends and cousins, because I've been getting messages from them telling me I'm a spoiled, selfish kid, so I'm second guessing myself. So, am I the idiot? Edit. I can't reply to all the comments, but I just want to answer some of the questions that I read. The most common one was, where was my dad in all this? Before this incident, I did not tell my dad anything, because I believed that there was nothing to tell. Ashley was curt with me, but I didn't expect her to immediately like me, and she did not bully me before this incident, so I just chalked it up to awkwardness since we were basically strangers. Also, as a mini update, I did talk to my dad and brothers. My dad was angry and shocked. My brothers were livid. I told them everything and showed them the screenshots on the messages. My dad hugged me and apologized that I had to go through this. My brothers wanted to come home immediately and confront Ashley, but my dad told them all to calm down. He said he wanted to talk to Melissa first and he and Melissa can talk to Ashley tomorrow, but he promised that we will all definitely sit down and talk about this. I have a feeling things are gonna get messy when they talk with Ashley tomorrow, so wish me luck. Update. Hello. Thank everyone who has commented and messaged me. Your suggestions and advices are really appreciated. I did post it in the comments, but for those who didn't see it, I did tell my brothers and father about what Ashley did, and my father said he would talk to Melissa first, and they would talk to Ashley the next day. The day after I told my dad, we all had a talk. Contrary to what we all thought, Ashley didn't even deny it. She just basically repeated what she told me. She sounds like a broken recording at this point. My dad told her that while he understands that she might feel excluded because my brothers and I were so close, demanding that I spend less time with my brothers and bullying me through her friends and relatives were so wrong. Melissa started talking, apologizing for what Ashley did. She said she knows it was wrong, but she was hoping that we all could forgive her because she's just having a hard time with the changes in her life. Michael pointed out that they did want a good relationship with her at first, but if this is how she was gonna treat me, she could just forget it. All my brothers also opened up about how they were so uncomfortable with her trying to be so touchy with them. My father suggested therapy, but Ashley refused and started screaming. At this point, I think my father had enough and said that she should go to therapy and work out her issues or she wouldn't be living in his house. That shut us all up. Melissa asked my dad if he was serious and he said yes. He said he loved her and he was concerned about Ashley, but he won't allow his daughter to be bullied in his own house. Ashley looked really shocked. She would be going to a local college and she planned to stay at home so she could save rent, so this must have bothered her a lot. She started blaming me and started to walk towards me and tried to grab me, but all my brothers got between us. John coldly told her that while our father was trying to be kind, that he would do no such thing, and if she touched me, he would throw her in jail faster than she could blink. He's a lawyer, so Ashley knows that this was not an empty threat. She backed off and walked to her room and slammed the door. The next day, Ashley went to therapy. I don't know if Melissa forced her or if she just didn't want to be kicked out, but oh well, at least she's going. She's been ignoring us this past few days, which is completely fine with me. As for my brothers, the day Ashley started therapy, she also started texting them, playing the pity card, but they all blocked her. As for me, I am doing very well. This whole fiasco kinda made us all forget that I'm going away to college in a few days, and now my father and brothers are kind of acting frantic and in mother hen modes, lol. I don't know if this was the update you all expected. This is a very summarized version, and if you have more questions I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. Thank you all so much. Update: I am the youngest of 3 siblings. I have 3 brothers, 28 male, 27 male, and 25 male. Our mom passed away when I was 8. Last year my dad, 53 male, married Melissa, 45 female, and she and her daughter from a previous marriage, Ashley, 18 female, came to live with my dad and me. Barely a month ago, I actually made a post here because Ashley was hysterically forcing me to stop hanging out with my brothers because she wanted them to pay more attention to her. She blames me for everything and repeatedly told me that I was preventing her from bonding with my brothers. We all sat down and talked. Ashley went to therapy and I went to college, but I know she still despises me. Now to the current issue. A little bit over a month ago, I turned 18. My maternal grandparents gave me a family heirloom. It was a pair of diamond earrings. It used to belong to my mother, but since she was unable to give it to me, my grandmother held on to it until my 18th birthday. I keep it in a locked drawer in my room. Yesterday Ashley and Melissa went to a wedding. I knew because Melissa made a Facebook post. I didn't think much of it, but in one of her posts, I saw Ashley wearing a pair of very familiar earrings. I know it's bad to accuse people without proof, but I just immediately knew that those were my earrings. I called my dad and my brothers and informed them and went home. I called Melissa and told her about the situation, but she didn't quite believe me because Ashley had told her that she borrowed the earrings from one of her friends. When I got home, I saw that the drawer had been busted open and my earrings were gone. We checked the security camera in the hallway. I had one installed because of previous events, and it did show Ashley going into my room and then coming out a few minutes later. I was a bit frantic. My dad called Ashley and demanded that she return my earrings. She denied it at first, but when he told her that we had video footage, she began to get defensive, saying that she just borrowed them and that I wasn't using them anyway. She then blocked my dad and Melissa wasn't answering her phone either. I was debating whether to go to the wedding that instant, when my brothers, who were quite fed up with Ashley at this point, told me that we should go to the police station and file a report for theft. I was quite reluctant at first, but then I remembered that those earrings were something my mother had left for me and she had taken it without asking permission. We went to the station and filed a report and showed them the security footage. This morning, Ashley was taken to the police station for questioning. Ashley and Melissa are still at the station, and I've been getting calls and texts from her relatives that I was dramatic and that I shamed their family because a lot of the guests who were staying at the hotel saw the police officers. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.